Hey traders, John Howell here. What a day in the markets today. We had the mining stocks continue to look weak in the markets. We continue to get some selling in the mining sector, just like I expected. We actually got a very strong bounce out of the indices, but we may not be out of the woodwork yet with the indices. Something I really want to share with you here. So the question is this a final bottom in the mining sector? And is this going to be a final bottom before I see my 6,000 target on the S&P 500? Oh, yeah. So let me actually share with you what I'm saying. Let's get straight into it. Don't place a trade based on what you'll see in this video because there is no guarantees of making a profit in the market. It takes you a long time to become a good trader. So this video here is just to educate you to become a much better trader. Alrighty, traders. So let's get straight into it. Traders, before I do start, I'm just finishing off one of my most successful months of my entire trading career this month. So as a way of celebrating, I am letting the first 2 people join my weekly private coaching program for 90% off. The very first 2 people get access to that, and it's the weekly, and it starts now and ends at the end of the year. You get access to my scanner, how I scan the markets, my #1 trading strategy. I'm there every day on the Facebook sharing my trades. I'm doing weekly live sessions. It's a private inner circle coaching program. And again, I'm doing it for 90% off just as a way of celebrating my most successful month of my entire trading career. It's just been an incredible month. So I want to give back and help you guys. The first 2 people to email me at Howell, Howell, trader@gmail.com. The first 2 people to email me get that 90% off. So go do that right now, guys. And I promise you, I will not let you down. So let's actually start off with the mining sector first, and then we'll get into gold, silver, and all that sort of stuff. So the mining sector, let's actually bring up just one chart here. So the mining, let's actually go to the daily charts here. So we're looking at the SILJ. SILJ has continued to fall off, actually break to the downside here. So we're still looking for a lot of weakness. We're still actually, right now as we speak, we have a lot of weakness, okay? We've broken to the downside. A lot of people have been saying this is the bottom in the mining sector, and this is probably going to be the final low before we see a big rally up. We may not be there yet. Okay, I'm going to share with you exactly what to look for to say, okay, this is going to be a final low before we do see, extraordinary moves in the mining sector. So the SILJ, so this is the SI. We're looking at the SILJ. Sorry. SIL for the silver miners. We're just looking at the SILJ. This is the SIL, as you can see here, support, and now we're breaking through and we're flushing down. And what's actually happening here in the mining sector is exactly what I saw happening for the last few weeks. It just took a bit of time, and now we're getting the breakdown, and now we're actually starting to see some follow through in the markets. I wonder how the volume is. Let's have a look at the volume for these particular breakouts. So yeah, we're starting to get a lot of volume on this breakout too. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that works out. Let's have a look at the GDX here for a minute. GDX. So the GDX actually hasn't broken past the significant support level yet. We do have, so that's the GDX. What about the GDXJ? GDXJ. And so we're looking at the GDXJ here. Let me have a look. I'm just looking at the volume and the breakout. So we did get a slight break to the downside. So it's going to be really interesting to see what actually happens here, but I wouldn't be trying to fight this at all. As you can see, we're having high, lower high. We made a lower high here and we're breaking to the downside. So the mining sector is actually still looking quite weak. Let's go to look at the weekly chart here. Let's go to the weekly charts. There we go. And once again, we're getting a significant break below this real key level of significant support. That was that really key level of support through there. And now we're finally getting a breakdown. Let me take this off the screen. So we're getting a high, lower high. We broke down. We went sideways for a couple of months. And now we're breaking down. So there's a good probability that we're going to continue down from here. Now, I may be wrong with that, okay? I may be wrong the market's going to continue down. If we are forming some sort of a false breakdown, a final bottom, a slingshot move, so to speak, in the markets, what we need to see is we need to see the market to tell us that that's happening. What would that look like? the first thing, let me actually take off the volume and let me just go auto log. Oh, no, auto, should I say? The first thing we would want to see, and let me take off the moving averages here. What we would want to see, we would want to see the buyers come back in real strong, because we've actually broken below this significant level of support here, okay? So what's happened here is that we would need, now we're broken below this support level here, resistance, we're broken down. The thing is that, is this going to be a follow through? Well, the trend is your friend until the end, so the trend is down. But is this going to be a final, like is this a sucker break to the downside before we see a big move to the upside? The probability is to the downside, but if we are going to see this being a bottom, what we want to see is we need to see the buyers come back in strong. So what I mean by that is we need to see some sort of a strong move. So either a move back above this resistance level, and then we come down and make a higher low, and then we continue up, or what would be even more favorable for the bottom, if there is going to be a bottom. I'm not saying there is, guys. There's actually more probability of this breaking down. But if there is going to be, we need to see a strong move up. Let's actually get some strong move in the buyers, and then let's have a little bit of a pullback. Let's create a bit of a higher low and break past to the upside. If we can get something like this happening over the next few weeks, maybe even to a month, if we start to get something like this, then yeah, this is probably going to be a final bottom in the markets, and this was a final low. And then yes, as the market continues to rise, if this is going to be the final low and we rally up, we're probably likely to see a very nice move back to 60s and maybe even a lot higher. So that's what you want to wait for in the markets there. But right now, traders, if you're trying to pick a bottom, you're catching a falling knife, because there's so much momentum on this downside. And so I wouldn't want to be fighting this downward leg just yet. You probably have a 5% probability of this being a bottom and 95% not. So let's go have a look at gold here for a minute. And gold, once again, traders, is still continuing to look weak. Where is gold going to break out? This is going to be really interesting, traders. Gold, the thing is that the people who have been patient with gold, when it breaks out, now, we could break to the downside, okay? We could break to down. It's going to be, I see, as the market is making one of the biggest moves we've ever seen in the markets, and I see just an extraordinary moves in the stock market, I believe gold is going to rise with that, okay? So that's just my belief, but we need to wait for confirmation of the chart. The confirmation for me would need to see this thing go sideways, and then a break to the upside. If we can get something like that, traders, breaking out of this level here, there's a probability we might have a bit of a pullback like that, and then a support, and then we're going to continue rallying back to the upside. And then I have an ultimate target of 3,000 on gold. But that's what we want to see. If we break to the downside, we're probably going to get, wow, where's the support level? 1,500. So you don't want to see gold actually break down below here. So, but if we do, wherever we break, if we break up, how we do this measurement here is we look at this apex and we take it from the start to the high, and then we just project that out, and we project it like so, right? Like so. And then you can see that's actually 2,100 or so on and so forth. So gold is going to make a massive move. Whenever the market goes quiet like this, traders, this is something you want to be very alert and you want to keep an eye out for and watching very carefully day by day by day, right? I've been watching gold. I haven't traded gold myself for a long time because I think I've had a couple of short-term trades on like a 1 minute chart and stuff like that. But as in for like a longer term position, even like buying on the daily charts, I haven't actually had a daily chart trade in a long time, right? As I'm doing my analysis, I'm still waiting for that confirmation for me to be able to take a really good quality setup. I haven't gotten that yet. So I'm going to sit there impatient, because I know, traders, and for you guys, if you're chopping at the bits to get into the markets, you're just going to take anything that just looks okay, and you're probably going to lose money. That's the hard thing about trading, right? Is stopping yourself from getting involved with the markets. See, a lot of people say, give me a successful system and then I'm going to be successful. But really? Okay. traders, for the last couple of days, I've given you a successful system. I've given you a successful trading pattern. Just follow it. See, that's always the hard part, right? Is just following it. And that's where, guys, you need some sort of coaching and stuff like that. And again, that's why you need to get your ass into my coaching program. I'm getting a 90% off for the first 2 people, but having me there to help you every day and to be there every single week doing weekly live sessions and the coaching and so on and so forth, you really need to have someone there to keep you accountable, right? Because you have the system, but then it's important to the other part, right? It's that patience. It's the patience and waiting for the setups. That's always the hard part, right? And that's where 95% of your success comes from you just being able to wait for those setups that do well. And that's where a lot of traders go wrong, all right? They see our success, and this is where the marketing in this industry that I'm part of, I don't agree with. I think it's a whole bunch of, if you see a successful trader, and I can come out and say, hey guys, I just made $1 million from trading, but that doesn't mean anything to you. Why? Because if I've learned through losing money, I've had to be patient and not take a trade for maybe 4 or 5 days, but then I took a trade that made me 200 grand, or I took a trade that made me even 10 grand, was like, that system made money, but it wasn't really the system that made me money, right? It was me being able to have to be patient and just to be able to wait for those setups. That's always the hardest thing. And so if you're watching numbers and stuff like that and looking at, I'm looking for this successful system and I can see the graph and I can see how successful this has been. Yeah, that's one thing. But the system is successful, but are you successful at applying that system? And that's where you need coaching and you need the repetition and you need a kick in the ass every now and then to keep you on top if you want to do well out of this thing called trading, because it will slap you across the face. And that's where I've learned myself, traders, when it comes to these markets here. And look at silver. Silver's almost back down towards its lows again. It's just really, really, really interesting, isn't it? As I was saying before, traders, that's where, during my time, there's been many times, and I traders, I'm not perfect, right? I go through this. I haven't gone through it for a long time now, but generally maybe once a year, I'll go through an impatient period, and then I'll take a few trades that I shouldn't, and or one trade that I shouldn't, and then it's just like, oh man, I knew I should have been patient there, right? I just had to have that patience cap on. And so, traders, you can do so well out of trading. You really, really, really can. We've just got to stop ourselves from getting into this crap that that's just like, I want to get in here because I just want to make money. And the counterintuitive thing is, right, is that we don't make money. We actually end up getting a loss. But if we can sit back and that's where trading is most of trading is always continue to monitor how are we feeling and thinking at the time. Because if we're feeling like, oh my goodness, I'm feeling shit, I want to get to the markets and I want to get that hit, then guess what's going to happen, right? You're going to go to the markets, you are going to get that hit, but you're going to get a whack in a bad way because you're going to take a trade that you shouldn't have because you're just itching to get in, and then you took a trade and you shouldn't have, and then you go downhill. But then guess what happens? You then get hurt because emotionally as well too. And so what happens is the next day or the day after, the beautiful quality setup that you are trading appears, and guess what? You don't take that, and that runs on for profits, and then you're on a negative downward spiral from there. So moving over now through to the ES, and now we're actually having a bit of a sort of a flat bottom through here. We had a massive swing day today, right? Look at this here. We opened low, came down, came back up, and closed high. So we're probably going to have an update tomorrow. I was actually expecting to see a bit more of a follow through, a bit of a flush down, and then maybe a rise to the upside. I'm very, very, very bullish overall, the markets. So this pullback is just a pullback. But I'm now looking at what's happening here with the bars. Since we had this higher close, we're probably likely to have a bit of a pullback first, and then a rally back to the upside. Now, here's got to be the interesting thing. What happens next? What happens next is going to be very, 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 very key. Do we, one, start to get very strong move back out of this thing here? If that's the case, this was just the correction before the slingshot move to the upside. Or do we, B, just start to do something like this? If we do the B situation and we're doing something like this, traders, look out below, because there's a high probability we're going to do something like that, and then we're going to have a much more of a pullback. I don't see that happening because This is just a correction in a big booming bull market where we are in the cycle of things. So there's a much more high probability of this being a final a low period before we see the next big move in the overall stock market. And we have a look at the YM, the Nasdaq, same sort of thing as well too, right? And then also looking at the NQ, again, same sort of thing there as well. Looking at there, so we really want to see the buyers coming in strongly here. I personally, traders, am long the S&P 500 now, or actually I've been long for probably close to 12 months now. I've been long on the markets. So we've had this pullback. I'm still doing well with my trades, and so I'm looking for a lot more upside to come out of this here, and that's what I do see. And so there we go, traders. I hope this sort of gives you a bit of an idea of what we are looking at and what's actually going through here. Once again, traders, for the first two people, as a way of celebrating one of my most successful months of my entire trading career, I'm giving the first two people to get 90% off my entire coaching program. But it's the first two people to email me at Howell, HOWELL, trader@gmail.com. The first two people get that, and I look forward to speaking to you real soon.